When I was 13 years old, in 1973, I lived in what was then the new subdivision of Brigadoon in East San Jose, California, about 60 miles inland from the coast. Mostly rural farm country, it was quickly growing into suburbia with the fruit orchards and fields being cleared to make way for new housing developments. One such development was just east of our Brigadoon subdivision. The land had been cleared and graded and streets marked out with flags and twine. Naturally, one of the first things to be installed was the storm drain system. Because of the increasing populations, and sometimes heavy rainfall, the storm drains were, by design, quite large. These particular concrete pipes were approximately 39 inches round and large enough that my friends and I could comfortably crouch or crawl through the maze of them with plenty of clearance. On many occasions, before the streets were paved over and the manhole entrances sealed down with their heavy steel caps, we would play war games those big storm drains. One particular day we decided to do just that, as opposed to spend time hanging out at the new East Ridge shopping mall. After phoning a few other friends to join in, we headed over on our bikes to meet in the new development area where we would set the rules of engagement and play until the last man had been outwitted and captured. I and a friend, Terry, had a favorite pipe entrance because it was wider than the others and had a better ladder for descending down. Also at that entrance the storm drain branched in 4 directions, which made for good escape routes from the enemy. Ready to play, Terry started down the ladder first while 2 other teams headed down their respective entrances elsewhere. Terry was about halfway down when I noticed something move in the dirt and rock below. I shouted at him to stop, thinking it might be a snake. It was always kind of spooky down in those storm drains and it didn't take much to send Terry to reverse, quickly climbing back to the safety of the open air. We stared down into the hole onto the gravelly bottom, which we could see clearly because the sun was fairly straight up. Neither of us could see anything out of the ordinary, but I was certain I saw something move the dirt, something fairly big. I decided to gather some small rocks and toss into the dirt below. I tossed the rocks in 3 different parts of the hole, but nothing moved. I tossed one more as I began to think I had imagined it all. Then suddenly, as the rock thudded into bottom the dirt, an area of dirt almost 2/3 of the storm drain in size, shifted and rose upwards, revealing a strange creature whose color nearly matched the color of the surrounding dirt. Terry and I both screamed and backed away from the hole, expecting the thing to climb quickly out, but it did not. We called to our friends who at first thought we were just trying to trick them into being captured. But calling a friendly truce, they come running over to hear our experience and gaze into the deep hole. None of us could see anything again, but Terry and I assured them something was down there. I again took a couple of rocks and tossed them down into the same area where I had previously disturbed the thing. Sure enough, the creature once again rose up out of the dirt to terrify us all. The creature stayed elevated for a long moment while we all asked, "What the heck is that?" The creature had thick arms branching out from its body ending with huge crab-like pincers. 2 corrugated antennae protruded from its head area and twisted up and over its pincers. The body was wide and flat, and seemed sectioned like that of a lobster. Only the front portion was visible. The remaining part of the creature's body was hidden back inside the concrete conduit of the storm pipe, out of our view. If it had the same shape as a lobster, the creature's overall length would have likely been around 5 to 6 feet, or as long as an adult was tall. In our excitement we kept tossing pebbles onto it trying to get it moved further out. Terry decided he'd seen enough and wanted to crush it with a large chunk of cement that was lying nearby, but I strongly objected, at which time a mild argument broke out between us all, some in favor of killing it, and some not. I was unnerved by the creature, which looked to be very much like a giant scorpion thing, but knew too that it was a unique creature and should be reported. I finally convinced the group of would-be executioners that there might be a reward for finding something like that, but if it was killed we might go to jail. We agreed to report it. Some of us would remain to watch it while I and a couple friends went to get my dad from my house nearby, which was on, of course, Loch Ness Way. Unfortunately, the creature was no longer there. We could see where it has once burrowed into the dirt, but it had definitely moved somewhere else. We were all feeling a bit creepy and not knowing whether it had crawled back into the depths of the pipe or, perhaps, had crawled out and was now burrowed in the dirt beneath our feet. We all decided to leave. Later, after dinner, my dad and I went back to the storm drain to see if the creature might have returned, but there was no sign of it. The creature, annoyed at being pommeled by rocks, likely made its way through the storm drain maze looking for a way out. I think my dad believed we saw something that day, but it was difficult to describe unless one had been there as I and my friends had been. The event faded into the past, but not from my memory. Over the years of my life, I've often researched through books and asked animal experts if such a creature did exist, or could have existed. Mostly my questions were met with an offer of several tablets of Prozac, but on occasion someone with an open mind would suggest that the creature may have indeed been real, and had been unearthed and reawakened from a millennia-long hibernation. I will probably never know what that thing was or whatever happened to it, but one thing is certain: a creature, very large and resembling the front end of a lobster or scorpion, had been witnessed by 6 or 8 teenagers that day. If anyone has any further information on such a creature or had experienced seeing something similar, I would welcome your insight. Just leave a comment below.